So how do you program a slot machine to be worth $100 million? Oh, yeah, welcome to the news. Stay till the end to find out. Welcome to the news. So how do you program a slot machine to be worth $100 million? It's a conceptualization and a mindset that's attached to today's episode. Welcome to the news. So how we're trying to focus a little bit today is by focusing on how we can program what is known as a attention slot machine into something that corresponds to today's episode, which we're going to try to equate to a $100 million conceivable conceptual concept, if that's okay with you. So let's just try to go there, if that could be okay. So we'll just try to consider what we first are referring to in terms of the slot machine. The slot machine is an invention that corresponds to today's little podcast invention, if you will, which also is relevant in the sense that, after all, you have the ability to buy and sell realities, if you will, with this slot machine, because it's a magic slot machine. It's a magic slot machine, and this slot machine gives you the capabilities to fundamentally find new and interesting things to do with your attention. Your attention is something that you have the ability to be able to reprogram, and this podcast is sort of just like a sort of longer standing iteration of this more or less slot machine that corresponds to attention. It's an attention slot machine, if you will, because in essence your memory as well as your attention is finite, if you will. So more or less we've got like three sides to a slot machine. We've got the left, the middle, and the right, if you will. So like the essence of this podcast mindset connecting to this podcast as well as the slot machine connecting to attention as well as memory corresponds to the essence of trying to program that slot machine for success, if you will, and buying and selling realities on a day-to-day basis, in essence, which is similar and semi-corresponds to this podcast. I suppose you could mention that, because in essence, what we're talking about is the idea that we are trading realities on a day-to-day basis, bringing up just weird conceptual concepts such as this, but after all, we want to be able to develop the mindset that you can trade, buy and sell different realities this way by thinking, by relevant thoughts that correspond to an essence of pulling the slot machine handle and programming every single wheel, the left, the center, and the right, with relevant concepts of short, middle, and long term that ultimately equal a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So these conceptual beginning and middle and ends have different possibilities that are programmed into your specific wheel of attention and memory, and that's how big the wheel can be, in essence, as large and or small, or any size that your memory and your attention is able to follow these small packaged items that are different logos for different value items and conceptual items that you want to order in terms of the order of operations that you want to accomplish, different actions and actions that you would like to take that are symbolized by different logos that are on this spinning wheel on the left and the center and the right of this slot machine, if you will, this conceptual reality buying and selling slot machine, if you will, which corresponds to trying to develop programs similarly to options trading actions contracts, where you're trading your own actions contracts, because you in essence have the ability to make and you can manufacture these differing little logos which correspond to every little tidbit that is a picture on the wheel on these slot machines, in essence. So they're all symbolized by great or small, large or small packages that are symbolized by the different logos on the different slot machine pictures, or the different slot machine sides to the wheel, the left and the center and the right. The bottom line is that when you're able to just program this, that you can buy and sell different realities, because in essence, every time that you pull the slot machine, it's like you can focus on what it gives you, because you've programmed the left, right, and the center to be the beginning focus, the middle focus, which is like the middle term, and then the end focus, which is like the longest term. And by structuring your mindset that way, whatever you get, you've got these three organizations of mental structure, and then when you program it, the different essences of the different things into the different slot machine sides, that in essence, once you pull the handle, once you get the outcome, and you pull the handle and it goes spinning and it goes crazy and all the colors and the lights go flashing until the slot machine finally stops and gives you the results. Then you're buying, in essence, it's like you've sold the last mindset and you're buying a new mindset in terms of reality. You're selling one reality and you're buying a new reality based on if you decide to cash out or keep playing. And obviously, because this is spiritual finance, you get to create these mental assets. You get to create if you win or lose, if you buy or sell. Because that's the fun of spiritual finance. It's acknowledging that you have money inside your brain. Attention is something that you have to pay to play, if you will, right? So, this is a matter of visualization to try to develop your own little story of success, if you will, by buying and selling realities. And so functionally, what we want to try to do today is bring about a conceivable $100 million element which can connect to today's podcast, because today is the essence of selling yesterday's podcast and buying today's podcast in terms of my attention, I suppose, for writing this little chit-chat in a podcast format and such things. So, in terms of trying to develop and relay something that can reflect some conceivable value, I can just try to conceptualize the essence of something, ideally, that can equate to $100 million in value, ideally, which in essence relates to also part of the story, because this is part of what the slot machine has spat out today for today's episode. And so I'm bringing it today to bring forward this little reality buying process, if you will. And so hopefully this essence of a connection can equal to $100 million in value in an ideal sense. So what I'm referring to is the essence of the modeling industry, the essence of conceivable models and the essence of conceptualizing that they help to sell things in the modeling industry. So we want to try to leverage that mindset, in the swimwear category, for example. They're really very interesting, cheeky, fetching, fast, sometimes peculiar photos that are able to sell and help sell items and certain product branding methodologies, certain products. So the idea is to leverage some of these AI models, if you will, to be able to start to functionally connect with personal brands. And then, therefore, once we've got some attention going and we can leverage some of this fun, interesting AI, artificial content distribution, and also connecting with this modeling industry with the fun and interesting and cheeky, sometimes saucy modeling industry that connects to the swimwear, for example, category, and those same models, in essence, can transition today, because this is what our little slot machine spat out today to try to give $100 million conceptualization, is that we want to connect those models with the sexiness, in essence, of more or less the application development, the app development routine that connects to desktop apps. Desktop apps, yes, that's right, for a laptop. Just like laptops, laptops, for Apple computers, for example, Apple desktops, Apple laptops, for example. That market seems to be pretty low these days. They have low inventory in terms of what's available on Apple laptops and Apple desktops in terms of fun, interesting, catchy, kitschy bits of apps and applications. So these AI models, we want them to make this little section sexy, and also to be able to sell our actual digital products, to be able to sell some of our actual applications, which are kind of a shallow pool of inventory, if you will, on the Apple App Store for the desktop realm. And so in essence, if we are able to be functionally mindful enough to be able to connect ourselves with some of these AI models that are fetching and peculiar and attractive on occasion, that in essence we can just try to bring ourselves around to be able to fundamentally develop and then resell or develop revenue within these applications, if you will, to be able to try to reach high value, high valuations, high actual value impact in the scheme of life, and then try to develop iterations and team building processes and having a management to be able to fundamentally facilitate following through with this essence of focus on developing influencer connectivity with these desktop applications to try to facilitate this market, which could benefit from some more interesting apps up on their stores, because they're kind of a little bit left out in terms of the essence of what is on a mobile phone, for example. So we'll just try to leave that vibe there. Let that vibe hang. Let that vibe conceptually marination in that mindset, that we could try to reach $100 million mindset from today's slot machine output, if you will, into today's episode, so that everybody now, you can use your own slot machine outputs to be able to buy and sell and trade realities by reprogramming the different wheels on the slot machine, so that in essence you can tell different stories, just like this podcast is telling a different story, and you can sell different stories at the same time, and you can tell and sell different stories to different people you know, different people that are comrades, different people that are co-workers, different people that might be a manager or some management format of personnel that can connect you with the resources to connect the dots of going and facilitating from mindset to functional product, or at least like a conceptual, minimum viable product, if you will, so that we can all collectively make more innovation into this world, so that we can connect the idea of solving more problems. So hopefully we can solve large problems on desktop applications, so then we can move into the space of solving more greater digital product problems. And then we can patch up the global philanthropy energy grid and develop more philanthropy energy, and develop the global good deeds economy, and develop the global philanthropy energy grid. Yeah. And then therefore also be able to take care of all the shelter animals in the world, and clear the shelter animals from the animal shelters, and clear the animal shelters, and foster all the shelter animals, and adopt all the shelter animals, and clear out all of these facilities and animal shelters, and take care of all the animals in all the world, and hopefully be able to 3D print all of our food eventually, so we can take care of every single animal on the whole planet, and let all of us live our lives, and let all the animals in the world live their natural born lives, if you will, and so we can all just facilitate our own conceptual optimization in an ideal respect. If, in fact, it is also relevant that, like 3D printing our own food does result in the best possible, highest outcome, best facilitating, relatable nutrition that is conceivably, possibly possible for all humans and all human beings at the same time. That's the hope, that optimization, to be able to functionally give the best result, the best resolves to all the animals in the world and all the humans in the world. Oh, yeah, that's all for now. Thanks again, Ding Tech Change for Games. Ding Tech Change for Games Studios. Thanks again. Bye. Peace. Bye.